Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and thank you so much for joining me as we visit the Alabama Hills, which are located near the eastern slope of the Sierra Mountains in the Owens Valley just west of Lone Pine, California. Outside of Tioga Pass, there isn't any road that crosses the Sierra Mountains, so on my way to Death Valley, I had to drive around the mountain range. Driving north along Highway 395 in the Owens Valley is actually an amazing drive, so we'll check out a little bit of that drive out on our way to the Alabama Hills. And now that we've made it to the Alabama Hills, hey, we got a cameo by the van. Yes, I'm aware that for a van life channel, my van doesn't actually appear very often. The first thing you'll see when you turn into the Alabama Hills is what they call Nightmare Rock. To be honest, when I saw this thing, I got a little nervous about boondocking around here. A lot of the boondocking spots in this area have actually been changed to day use only due to overuse of the area, and also a good portion of this area is actually owned by the city of Los Angeles. The reason for that is the Owens Valley serves as a major water source for the city and was part of the California Water Wars. Now we'll continue up the road. You're going to turn off of Whitney Portal Road and head up a dirt road that they call Movie Road. The Alabama Hills is known for having some small arches, and we're going to hike towards one that's known as Mobius Arch. As you look around the surrounding landscape, I want to ask you, here is Heart Arch that you will see along the hike to Mobius Arch. I'm going to ask you if the surrounding area here reminds you of any movies or TV shows you might have seen. It looks like we're working towards an incredible sunset there with Mount Whitney. If you're enjoying this video, I'd appreciate it so much if you please give me a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much, and let's continue with the video. Here is Mobius Arch, and it does an incredible job of framing Lone Pine Peak and Mount Whitney there in the far distance. The formation there to the right is known as the Fallen Knight. Not too far from Mobius Arch, there's Lathe Arch, which is actually really tiny. Now let's take in an amazing sunset behind Mount Whitney, which looks like something right out of Lord of the Rings. From here, I headed back to the van to boondock for the night, which I ended up actually staying in Lone Pine, where some truckers were parking. Getting up early the next morning, I had a bit of an issue with the van not being able to make it up this hill on Movie Road. If you're unfamiliar with these vans, they're very heavy, and if you get stuck, it costs about $3,000 to get towed. So I decided to play it safe and actually hike out on foot to the top of the hill. And what I was trying to do here was to get kind of a road to nowhere shot heading back towards Lone Pine Peak. But as you can see, the shadows were a bit too long because because it was a little bit later in the morning than I had planned. So while we wait for the shadows to improve, we'll take in some views of the Sierra Mountain Range. We'll also hike around and take a look at some of these other rock formations here in the Alabama Hills. So why are the Alabama Hills called the Alabama Hills? Well, the Alabama Hills are named for a Confederate warship, the Alabama, and when news of the ship's victories reached Confederate sympathizers in California, they named many mining claims after the ship, and one of those happened to be the Alabama Hills. I'm going to share with you a display from the interagency station which shows you the names of all the mountains in this landscape. It looks like the shadows have improved some to where I could go get my shot of the road to nowhere now. Lone Pine Peak does appear to be quite a bit more prominent, even though it is actually about 1,500 feet shorter than Mount Whitney. And that kind of gives you an idea of some of the challenges surveyors faced when it came to measuring the heights of these mountains during their trigonometry surveys. Now we'll move to some up-close views of Mount Whitney, which is the highest point in the contiguous United States at 14,505 feet. From the east, the mountain rises sharply above the Owens Valley with a vertical relief of about 10,700 feet above the valley floor. The western slope of Mount Whitney is actually much more gradual. So we're going to move on from the Alabama Hills and Mount Whitney, but before we leave, we will make a quick stop in Lone Pine at the Movie Museum. The Alabama Hills is a well-known filming location. One of the best-known early films was Gunga Din. Iron Man did some filming. This is where Tony Stark gave his demonstration of the Jericho missile in the first Iron Man movie, and the cult classic Tremors, which starred the late great Fred Ward and Mr. Six Degrees himself, the legendary Kevin Bacon. The Movie Museum does ask for a donation of $5, but I think it's completely worth it. It's a pretty nice thing to check out if you are in the area. Now it's time to head on down the road. There was some catastrophic flooding in Death Valley, so I actually had to drive around the western side of the national park to enter from the east in Nevada. But along the way, I had to drive along, I believe it was Route 168 through Deep Springs Valley. There are some amazing views along this drive that I wanted to share, and in this moment I'm sure I was sharing a really profound thought, but the GoPro just decided it wasn't going to record any audio for whatever reason. This drive and heading through Lone Pine was just a great example of some of the magic of van life and of taking the road less traveled, turning it into an incredible experience. Where do you think that guy was headed on his bicycle? Now that we made it to the state of Nevada, I appreciate you so much for joining me for this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks, and take care. Bye.